I'm going to walk you through the last chance system that I've developed, and this is going to describe how to maximize your opportunity. Hello everybody and welcome back. There's news about the wedding. Chrissy's not here. She's off busy getting ready. We have a date. I'll tell you more about it at the end. Another episode of Fly Me to the Philippines here from Cagayan de Oro, and today we're going to talk about how to find a Filipina. Over the last 3 months, I've consulted with over 100 clients who have both met a Filipina online and met a Filipina boots on the ground. Frustrated, who've been elated, the full range of experience based on my success having met Chrissy, based on my success here in the Philippines, the different types of scenarios that the clients run into. I'm going to share with you today what I've boiled down and what I call my last chance strategy. And I'm going to share with you a boots on the ground strategy. Stay tuned. Here we go. I hear from people so often, Rob, how did you meet Chrissy? And I'm going to go through how I met Chrissy, and I'm going to explain to you what is the last chance strategy. But first, when you are wanting to meet a Filipina, you really have two options. You can go online, and we know from surveys we've run and other vloggers have run, 60% claim they met their Filipina online. We're going to start with online. We're going to go to in person. We're going to go to the boots on the ground strategies, and we're going to talk about the last chance strategy. The number one rule is don't settle, don't quit. You never want to quit. There's so much opportunity. Your chances of success are overwhelming. The only thing you could do is get discouraged and quit. Now, there are obstacles, and many of you will run into the organized crime scam, the short con, and the long con. There's a good chance you'll run into the first two, and there's, a small chance you'll run into the last one as well. If you are unlucky enough, if your number came up that you're the one who ran into a scammer or a con artist, don't quit. Go back to the starting gate, start over. Even if you've already met a Filipina, you want to pay attention to this video. It's not just about how to meet a Filipina, it's how to determine if you've met the right Filipina. So if you were a consulting client and you said, Rob, I'm about to go online, how would you recommend I proceed? This is what we're going to do. We're going to have some basic rules, okay? The first rule is the golden rule. Send no gold. That's it. Never, ever, ever, ever send money. Now, there's rare exceptions to that rule. Occasionally, you might have to send some load for a woman's phone. You're going to go to D-I-N-G, D as in dog, DING.com, and you're going to load $3, $4 onto that phone until she can video chat for 15 minutes. That's it. Rule number 2, no video chat. You get 24 hours to get your BS taken care of. Maybe she dropped the phone in the toilet. Maybe grandma is in the hospital tonight. Okay, maybe she's got no makeup and a giant pimple she doesn't want to show you. Okay, you're going to get 24 hours to resolve your BS, video chat, and if you can't, you block that person. Just write, that person is not to be trusted. As Chrissy says, you signed up for a dating site. You're not prepared to video chat. You can't go to the mall. You can't go out to the public park if you're an OFW and borrow a phone on Sunday afternoon. Not really feasible. So people who don't video chat are most often affiliated with organized crime. In the last 6 months, the Philippine authorities have shut down 2 POGOs, they're called. These are call centers with 800, both of these call centers had 600 to 800 employees. Crypto scams and organized crime romance scams. Many of these employees are Chinese nationals. The majority who were arrested were Chinese nationals working in slave labor conditions. They don't want to video chat. They have excuses. So the organized crime scam is typically going to try not to video chat, or they'll have a 30-second video chat. The quality of the line will be bad. It's sort of an artificial intelligence video segment. You could have a man talking and it will show a woman on the screen. So that's the biggest tell that you're in an organized crime scam. They won't video chat you. Instead of waiting 15 days to ask for a few $100s, they're going to ask rather quickly. And quite often the women don't even look Filipino. They can look Eastern European, and if you hear a lot of voices in the background, or you see the woman is in a nice apartment, or it looks like an office she's talking from, or you see drywall instead of a province house, these are early indications you're talking to somebody who works and is locked up in a call center for organized crime. So always video chat. And a word about video chat. Filipinas give amazing first video chat. If you get a video chat with a Filipina and it's 30 minutes and it's super pleasant and you get off the phone thinking, wow, this girl really likes me. No, you can tell nothing after the first video chat. Only after the second, third, fourth video chat should you start to reorder your priorities. Who's in the 1 spot? Who's in the 2 spot? They're all so polite. They agreed to video chat you, but you're not their type. You'll never know on that first video chat. So make sure before you send them an airplane ticket, or make sure before you fly off to see them, that you've had 3 or 4 video chats. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have avoided the organized crime scams, then we're going to go ahead and talk about the short con and the long con. But before we do, I recommend as follows. If you sign up for one of the larger sites, such as Filipino Cupid, Pina Love, Christian Filipina, Dating in Asia, you will get 200 to 400 incoming messages in the first week to 2 weeks. I recommend you don't open those. And what I say is, you have a German Shepherd, you put a ribeye under its nose, it salivates. There's an algorithm in that dog's head. It can't be overwritten. You cannot make it not salivate when you show ribeye to the German Shepherd. You are a different species. You are a man. And when we show you a picture of a woman in Daisy Dukes washing the hood of a Corvette, you can't control yourself. And you've been in a long-term relationship. It ended. You're coming away from that. It's a year or two. You haven't really dated much. You haven't been dating young women. All of a sudden, you're on a dating site. You're dating in Asia, and pretty faces show up. Pretty figures show up, beautiful heads of hair show up, women in sexy attire, and you're a little bit like that German Shepherd responding to a ribeye. And all thought processes are going to be overwritten by your algorithm. And when you sign up to these dating sites, you are going to get 200 to 300 scammers that reach out to you. If you were in the scamming business looking for green, inexperienced Western men who couldn't control their algorithm, couldn't control the urge to reach into their wallet, where would you look for them? Well, you would look for new. And that's what they're doing. They're looking for you, and you're new, and you don't have any experience, and that's just what they want. Now, if you were to throw away all 300 of those touches that come your way, yes, you will throw away 3, 5, 6 babies with the bathwater. I had a client in my house 2 weeks ago. He met an OFW on one of these dating sites, and she wrote him. And if he had listened to my advice, he probably wouldn't have met her. Now, the exception to the rule would be if she's 35 to maybe 45 and she's an OFW, possibly she would be bold enough to reach out and write you. Her experience has taken her out of the country, and she realizes she's trying to date while not in the Philippines. She has to be a little more aggressive. But as a rule, you will be far better off to not open those emails. They're going to be 95% the types of women you don't want to meet. What we want to do to meet a woman online is we want to look for women who have been online in the last 7 days and they have 3 or more photos. Now you can sort by online and it'll show you like the 50, or you can sort by age and online. There's a few other filters you can do, but you're going to see all the women who are currently online, okay? But then you'll see, once you scroll through those, you'll see who was online today and then who was online in the last 2 days, and then it'll sort by last online. You only want to go back 1 week maximum, okay? If the woman hasn't been online in the last week, it's not a good place for you to spend your time. And I'm going to explain to you what I call the last chance strategy and why we're going to pursue this methodology. And that's how I met Chrissy, using the last chance strategy. So we're going to ignore 100% of all these beautiful photos they're sending us, all these sexy photos being sent to us, all these scammers with the tattooed eyebrows and the Ukrainian looks. We're just going to not open those emails. And we're going to go and we're going to run our filter, and we're going to look for college educated, we're going to look for nurses, we're going to look for people of a certain age. And I recommend 27 to 33 if they have one child is a sweet spot. And if you're willing to have children, 25 to 30 is what I would recommend. Now, I don't recommend looking for under 25. I just feel like their brains are not fully developed, and you might find somebody really special who's just graduating college in the lower 20s, and they would be worth pursuing, but that's up to you. My suggestion is you find somebody who's just in that upper 20s range is a really good place to look. We're going to write personalized paragraphs. Hi, Chrissy. I see that you're a certified teacher. That took a lot of initiative. You have a really nice smile, beautiful eyes. You seem like somebody I'd like to get to know more about. Maybe you ask the last thing. Ask a question that can't be answered with yes or no. Do you have a large family? Do you have many brothers and sisters? How big is your family? Could be the last thing. I hope you'll write me back. I'd like to know more about you. That's it. It's tempting to just look at new. One of the problems with new is there are so many guys searching for new. If you're a woman and you're brand new on the site, you will get inundated. You will get 500 incoming messages, and it's really, really hard. Unless you are really studly and you're super fit and you're the man, you got, everything going for you, I wouldn't really waste my time on new, because it's just too much incoming messages for the women. They can't handle them, and there's a very low percentage chance you're going to get responded to. But you want to send out maybe 50 messages the very first time. Search for women all over the Philippines. Don't limit your search to one geographic area. Now, the chances of you getting a hit on the first 50 are pretty low, but you should aim for 2 or 3 video chats that first week, or 1 or 2 video chats every day. You're trying to video chat these girls. And remember, the worst photo of the 5 is who you're going to see on the video chat. Quite often they'll be in bed with a child next to them. There'll be roosters and dogs. It'll be hard to hear. The Wi-Fi signal will be bad. That's not a bad thing. Just be prepared and video chat and learn who these people are by video chatting. Now, what is the last chance strategy? And coming up, the short con explained and the long con explained. So there's a department store in America called Nordstrom's, and it's a premier department store, and they're famous for taking back everything. They started out as a shoe store, and they became like a big department store. And their reputation is, you could have bought it a year ago, 2 years ago, they will take it back, no questions asked. And what they did was they created one store in America in Phoenix, Arizona called Last Chance. Quite often, people will go in, the wife will go in, and she'll buy a pair of shoes for $800, pair of Gucci's or other crazy brand names, and she will take it home to her husband for an affair that's coming up in 6 months, and he gains weight. He tries on the shoes and they're too tight. And it's been 6 months or a year before she returns the shoes, but she brings back those $800 Gucci's and she gets her money back, but the store can't put them back on the shelf because that shoe's last year's shoe, or they don't have a full range of sizes. It goes to this store in Phoenix called Last Chance. And I used to live in Phoenix, and once a month, twice a month, if I was ever in that part of town, I would stop in. It was a big hassle. You had to park 2 football fields away, and it was a hassle to get in there, but I would walk right up to the size 12 shoes and see if there was anything amazing, because they would sell them for 15 cents on the dollar. And 3 out of 4 times there'd be nothing on the shelf, and I would just leave because I didn't expect to find anything. But every 4th time I would go there, I would see, oh my God, it's a miracle. There's a pair of Gucci's right on the shelf. Never worn, never, not a scratch on them. They fit perfectly, like I got them. And it's really hard to find these because people will go in there and resell it on eBay, and they're 15 cents on the dollar. Oh my God, $800 Gucci's for like $100. This is what the online dating strategy has to be analogous to for you. a woman like Chrissy is not sitting on the shelf waiting for you to show up. There aren't 300 Chrissys waiting for 300 new guys to sign up that day, and you're just going to walk in and find her. She's like that pair of Gucci's. You can find it at last chance if you go back often, if you come at different times of the day, if you keep checking back. Eventually, you'll find that pair of Gucci's, and you'll find your prize. Now, what you have to do is understand what it's like for that woman. A woman like Chrissy, she logs on for the very first time. She's new, and boy, she gets 500 emails, and all the guys that look like Brad Pitt and Richard Gere, who have money, and they have sports cars, and they have, you know, they're adventure traveling all over the Eiffel Tower. The girls, they're like, just like you, they go for eye candy too, and they end up zeroing in on what looks like an amazing prize to them. The problem is there are a lot of people who come through the store, come through new, and they grab 6 or 7 or 8 Chrissys. They're married. They only want the women to take off their clothes at night. They're never coming to the Philippines. They can't afford to come to the Philippines. They have a job. They can't even get more than a week of vacation every year. But they are players, and they grab 5. And they take 5 off the shelf. So by the time you sign up and you look on the shelves are empty for what? Chrissy's not sitting there on the shelf waiting for you to pick her off the shelf. But after you send out your initial 50 personalized paragraphs, and you get 2 or 3 or 5 responses, you start video chatting. We're not going to select. What we're going to do is we're going to use this mathematical model of how to pick a wife. And imagine you had a deck of playing cards, 100 playing cards. Each card had a Filipina with their facts, their weight, their height, their education, and 5 photos. And now you're allowed to pick any of these 100 cards. You can shuffle the deck, but you have to pull them over one at a time in order. How do you pick a wife? There's a mathematical model, and I'll put a link in the description box if you want to read this article about the best way to approach this problem. And you're allowed to turn one card over, and you can marry her or never see the card again. Once you decide to keep going to the next card, that's it. That Filipina is gone forever. How would you choose? And I always tell you, don't settle. So the mathematical model that we're going to link in the description box, what it says is turn over 37 cards without choosing. So if you have 100 in the deck, you turn over 37 of the cards. You study the range of beauty, the range of education, how good their English is, their photos. And after you've looked at 37, no matter how spectacular a woman is in the first 37, this is just an educational process. You're saving 2/3 of the deck for choosing. The first third is familiarization. Now, the rule is, after you turn over 37 cards, you turn over the next card. If she's better than anyone in the first 37 you pulled over, marry her. And if she's not, keep going. And you just keep going through the deck, and until you find somebody who is better than the first 37, the best person in the first 37, you got to beat her. And once you meet someone who's better than her, you make the selection. Okay, so that's what we're aiming to do here. But you're trying to get a couple of video chats every day. You don't want to choose immediately. All Filipinas are sweet. All Filipinas will give you amazing old school girlfriend experience. Don't be overwhelmed by it. They're pretty. They have beautiful hair. They're thin. Get to know the breadth of the selections available. Now, after your first 50 outbound messages, we're going to use the last chance strategy. In the morning, we're going to go into last chance. We're going to see if they have those size 12 Gucci's. And if they don't, we're going to leave. And then we're going to come back in the afternoon, and we're going to see if a miracle. There could be $800 shoes being sold for $100, brand new. If they do, we're going to take them off the shelf. That could be our Chrissy. Okay? And as long as you are online, and until you meet that one special person who's better than everybody else that you've met so far, you're going to use the last chance strategy. You're going to go back into the store. You're going to check your size, education, this height, this weight, this age, whatever it is that's your sweet spot. Go to that section of the last chance and see if by some miracle a woman like Chrissy got tired of that player, learned that he was married, found out she was in the 2 spot and he had another woman, she's going to blow out and pop right back on the shelf at last chance. And that's what you're looking for. The really fantastic opportunities, the women who are way above your pay grade, they're going to reappear mysteriously on the shelf. Now, they will be there not just for the hour like a pair of shoes where you could grab them and they're yours. Until you get her off that dating site, if she's there for 3, 4, 5 days before she takes her profile down, well, you got a competitive situation on your hand because you're not the only one with eyeballs. And if Chrissy's on the shelf and you bump into her and you go, holy, what the heck is that doing there? And you start texting her, you start video chatting, she's going to have 15 other men that wrote her that day, and maybe another 100 who write her on day 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, she won't be able to deal with the other 100, and she'll be already in process with the first 15. So if you make it in the final sort and you're in the batch of 5, in day 2 and 3 and 4, you're competing. And that's where you need my PDF on how to win online, which gives you over 100 video chat conversation starters, uses Dr. Annan's 36 questions for rapidly escalating intimacy. If you don't have my PDF on how to win online, go ahead and email me. And just a side note, in the description box and in the comments, there'll be a link for my availability calendar for consulting. Now, you're going to go back and you're going to look for that Chrissy that shouldn't be there, but she is there because she got played, she got twisted, somebody just emotionally scammed her, and she's had enough of him. He looks like Brad Pitt, he's got money, blah, 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 but that's it. She's back in the store, and you just happen to be in Last Chance when she's there. And that's your opportunity. That's how you work the online system. But you got to play your cards right, and you got to compete using those How to Win Online PDF video chat suggestions, how to properly set up your video chat camera. It's all in that PDF. Now, having met somebody that is worth meeting doesn't mean you're done. You're susceptible to, even though you didn't respond to her and you reached out to somebody, you're still susceptible to the short con and the long con. It's very unfortunate. There's no getting around it, and there's no way to determine it in short order. So you have to trust but verify. You're going to video chat twice a day, and somewhere around the 10th day, between 7 and 14 days, the short con will make itself known. The woman you meet will do everything a woman should do. She won't give, there'll be no suspicion. She won't say or do anything that would give you any cause for suspicion. Your job is to follow the golden rule and share no gold, send no money, offer no money, fix no financial problems. Even if she hints that she has no food to eat, or she hints the clothes is torn, the kids don't have money for a uniform, you just say, until I meet somebody in person, my rule is I don't send money. Now, if she hints really, really hard, well, that's the short con. But usually the short con will reveal itself when they ask for approximately 150 to 250 US dollars. I had one client who met a police officer she claimed to be, and on day 5 she shared her identification, and on day 10 she needed 200 US dollars, and by day 12 he realized he'd been scammed. So the people that run the short con, if you're being trained on how to run the short con, what you're told is do everything right. Pretend you're in love, video chat for an hour in the morning, an hour at night, be the girlfriend these men want, and then once you have established your relationship, and once you've become really intimate with that person, then give them the sob story. The dog's at the vet, the child hit its head, grandma's in the hospital, my business involves sewing and the sewing machine broke down, I'm out of business without a new sewing machine. It doesn't matter what it is. 100%. If you have had to give 200 US dollars in the first 15 days, you are a victim of the short con. You need to block that person. You've invested a lot of time and effort. You thought you were successful. You need to block that person, go back to the beginning, and start over. Start looking in the Last Chance store, looking for that perfect person. Now, I have a client, he met what appeared to be a beautiful woman with a 7-year-old daughter, pictures in front of Jollibee. Everything seemed perfect. And he realized he was a victim of a short con. He went back, he started over. 2 weeks later, he met a woman that he's now with in a long distance relationship. He's been to the Philippines to meet that woman. He's in love, and everything worked out because he didn't quit and he persevered. He stayed the course. So it's really important. A large percentage of men, maybe even as large as 50%, when they think they've met the perfect Filipina, they will learn within 10 to 15 days they are the victim of a short con. And these women are talking to 3, 4, 5 of you at the same time. And once they get that money from you, they'll try and get you to send more and more and more often. Now, organized crime does it a little bit differently. They try and pop you in the first week, in the first 5, 6 days. They hit you with a sob story very quick. There's quotas and there's bosses looking over their shoulder, and they're trying to see how gullible you are. And once you come up with $300, $400 for the organized crime, they will hit you with some ridiculous amount of money, usually thousands of US dollars in that second week. And that's a sure sign you're involved with organized crime. You know, tuitions that cost $5,000, they need to travel. They say they can come visit you in Europe, they can visit you in America, they have a passport, they're free to travel. No way, no how. Total organized crime scam. Okay, now, the long con. Unfortunately, if you are involved with the long con, you will not be asked for money at the 2-week mark. The person who plays the long con is going to do everything right for months at a time. And what will normally happen is somewhere in the 4-week period, 5-week period, they'll start to do a little show and tell for you at night, and they'll video chat you for 40 minutes in the morning and 40 minutes at night with a little playtime. And you will think you are in a long distance relationship. And quite often you see the type of poverty that they're living in, and you think you have a girlfriend and you can't get to the Philippines for many, many months, your annual leave, maybe you only have 2 weeks vacation, and you see the poverty. And to you, a date out, 2 glasses of wine, $200 US, no big deal. So you start to, without her ever asking, somewhere in the second month, you start sending her $200 US, 10,000 pesos a month, roughly $180 US. And you even put her in an apartment. She can get a nice place for 10,000 pesos a month. So you're paying the apartment and you're thinking, okay, you're going to come and visit. Now, the problem is you might be one of 3, 4, or 5 men that she's talking to. And she's hoping you never come visit. But if you do come visit, you only come for a week because she can keep you in the game and she can keep the other men in the game if you're only here for a week. Some of these women will have their boyfriends and their husbands pretend to be chauffeurs and pretend to be relatives, and they will drive you to the Airbnb and watch you take their wives right upstairs and stay with them for 1 week at a time. And she'll claim she's ill, she claims she's in the country visiting relatives and she can't call. The other men, she can kind of juggle them for about a week or maybe 2 even. But if you come to the Philippines for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you'll flush out the long con. Now, there's a famous story on YouTube. Another YouTube vlogger who's been in this space way longer than me posted a story where he bought a couch and TV. He'd been video chatting for a year in a long-term relationship. He finally retired. He had bought a couch and a TV and a Barco lounger, and he had it delivered to the Filipina's house. And when he got off the airplane, she didn't meet him at the airport. And then he went to the address. There was nobody living there, but he was a pretty good investigator. And he actually showed her a picture around town and found where his furniture was residing. And it was residing with another man and that woman. So the long con is real heartbreaking. You will never know that you're in the long con until you get here. Now, what about Trust But Verify? We have this video on Trust But Verify, Facebook Trust But Verify, and we do a service for our platinum clients, and as a specialty service, we'll do reviews. As soon as you start on this second, third, fourth video chat, you start to get some real feelings. You start to build some intimacy with this Filipina. You need to try and find her real Facebook page, not the transparent page with 20 friends or 40 friends that she hardly ever has any postings on. The real Facebook page, the one she's had since she was 17. And if she says she doesn't have a Facebook page, red flag. If she says this is the only Facebook page she has and it's all BS, red flag. There's a real Facebook page out there for your Filipina. And until you find it, you don't really know who you're talking to. And until you come and meet her in person, you don't really know who she is and the real Filipina. These women need to be able to send you their high school graduation picture. Every one of them has one. It'll have the date and their name. You should be able to show your passport and cover the passport number and ask them to show a driver's license or a school or work ID. You need to start to build trust by asking for some of these documents and asking them to share their Facebook page with you. Now get your Facebook page ready. Get rid of all the girls you met in Thailand. Get rid of the other Filipinas you've been chatting. But for me, until I can see their Facebook pages, and I know they don't have tattoos maybe, or they haven't been out with other Western men, and there's all sorts of breadcrumbs on these Facebook pages which link to their mom and their sisters and their high school mates. And even though she's deleted the flowers she got from the Western man, their mother might be so proud of the fact their daughter got flowers, it'll be on the mother's Facebook page, not deleted. So a little bit of investigation, open source reviewing of social media is required. Now, what about boots on the ground? I told you I would share that with you. Chrissy says, ask them where the Jollibee is. And today I spoke to a client and I said, you know, if you were at the mall in Los Angeles and a member of the Swedish bikini team walked up to you and asked you where the McDonald's was, you wouldn't just point and keep walking. You would stop dead in your tracks. There'd be this moment of realization that this is a very bizarre, special moment. Well, and you would ask them some questions. You'd see if they were by themselves. You'd wonder why they were by themselves. Were they visiting Los Angeles? Could you help them? Could you walk them to the McDonald's? Maybe you could join them for a cup of coffee. That's what you would do. Why do you think Filipinas are any different? And you are about as rare and bizarre an event happening to them as you running into a member of the Swedish bikini team or a supermodel. You are a walking lottery ticket, earning 3, 4, 5 times as much as a Philippines airline pilot. An airline pilot only makes $1,000 a month. Here you are walking around, Mr. Western pension retired guy, earning 3, 4 times what an airline pilot makes. These women, Chrissy said this morning, in a typical mall here in Mindanao, maybe only 15% of the women have ever spoken to a Westerner, ever. You are a rare bird, and you walk up to her and you say, where is the Jollibees? And she is going to do one of two things. She's either going to point and keep walking, which means she's married, she has a boyfriend, she's not interested. Or number 2, she's going to think, oh my God, I just met a member of the Swedish bikini team. In her version, I've met this exotic foreigner with this really interesting nose and these unusual looks and, you know, all this charm and experience. And wow, I have a girlfriend that's living the life in America or living the life here in the Philippines, married to a foreigner. They don't cheat. They're stable. They're experienced. They're very loving and patient men. Wow. Should I just point and tell him where the Jollibees are? Or should I ask him where his wife is? Should I ask him where his girlfriend is? Should I walk him to the job? As soon as they ask you, where's your wife? Where's your girlfriend? They are interested. Period. The end. Now, it's very, very easy. Almost anything. Can I get your phone number? Can I meet you for coffee after work? Are you available for coffee before breakfast? Can I video chat you when you get off work? Almost anything they're going to be agreeable to. They're a little shy. They may cover their mouth when they talk English to you at first. But if you speak slowly and you are kind, and always remember, when meeting a woman in public, you approach from a 45-degree angle, never direct. Never approach a woman. Never walk right up to a woman and speak to her. Always move cautiously, not super slow, but very steadily from a 45-degree angle. And if she's with a girlfriend, you speak to the girlfriend first. That's dating 101. So Boots on the ground in the Philippines is easy if you just want company and you want someone to spend some time with. If you want to meet a wife, now that's a little bit more difficult, and you're going to have to spend some time. I always recommend, if you come here without a woman, you go right to the IT park in Cebu City. You stay in Avito Tower 1, Avito Tower 2, 5 to 7 days. You're in the supermarket, you're in the mall, you're at the coffee shops, you're across the street at the night market. No need for car, no need for transportation. The sidewalks aren't buckled. It's just one place, and there's a lot of English-speaking girls that wear makeup and have nice hairstyles. They're a little prettier than what you'd find in most places, and maybe because they work and they have salaries. So that is a real target-rich environment for you. And where's the Jollibee is, now I also say the Jollibee conversation starter. It's said if you ask a girl if there's a Jollibee in the town she grew up in, and she says no, well, how far to the nearest Jollibee? If it takes an hour to get to a Jollibee's, you live in the deep, deep provinces. If it takes 15 minutes to a half hour to drive to a Jollibee's, you live in a really little town, probably 10, 15,000 people. If you have one Jollibee in town, well, you live in a very small town, 25,000 people. Chrissy comes from a town of 125,000 people. They have 5 Jollibees. Cagayandero has 850,000, and it has 26 Jollibees. So you can have a cute little conversation about Jollibees when you ask her, where's the Jollibees? You could ask her, did she grow up here in Cebu City? How many Jollibees are there in her hometown? What size? It's a good conversation starter. Get out of your hotel room. I always recommend you have your online tool while you're here, and you try and set up coffee dates the town you're in or the next town you're going to, and then get out of your room and ask the Jollibees question. That's it. Okay, now, even though you met them in person doesn't mean you're not going to run into the short scam. A girl who meets you in person may run the short scam on you. You may become intimate with the woman. She may run the short scam on you. Within a week or two, she needs serious financial assistance. That's it. Back to start over. Let her go. You're turning through the first 37 cards in the deck trying to find a wife, trying to find that long-term girlfriend. If they can't live the 2 weeks after meeting you without you solving their financial problems, let her go. The long-term scam, not so much a problem when you meet them in person, unless they need you to leave their life for 2 weeks, or they're busy. They claim they're taking a field trip, and there may be something else going on. So not as likely the long-term scam. Now, having said all that, you should get to know your Filipino 1 year. Live together 1 year before you commit to a long-term marriage type relationship. You got to get to know somebody's personality under stress. You have to use the mathematician system. You have to familiarize yourself with the possibilities. Become aware of the qualities that you could find. Don't pick the first Filipina who's in her 20s, who pays time and attention to you. Wait until you've seen the selection. Beware of the short-term con. It will show up 7 to 15 days, $150 to $250 request, or if they don't ask for it, they'll hint at it, okay? And then be aware, even though you get past the short con, there's always the possibility, if you can't get here for 6 months, you can't get here for a year. When you do get here, she can't pull it off anymore, and you'll find out it was a long con. She's married, she's talking to 3 other men, she's been getting $200 a month from 3 other men. You're going to be heartbroken, so don't count on anything until you get here. Now, what I always say, get here quickly. Once you get past the short con period, once you get past 10 days, 15 days, and you're like, wow, everything checks out. I'm on the verge of telling my kids I met somebody, my friends and brothers and family, I met somebody. Get yourself to the Philippines quick, because there are 3 or 4 other men that saw her on the shelf and are talking to her possibly. And if they get here before you, will she still see them, even though you're her number 1 prospect? If the number 2 prospect or number 3 prospect drops everything and flies to the Philippines and tells her he'll do everything for her, will she go on a date with him? Will she at least see him for dinner? And you could lose her. Trust but verify. Find someone you can talk to. There aren't many people who want to hear about your 50-year-old date on Match.com. Good luck finding somebody who wants to hear about a 25-year-old you're talking to in the Philippines who's asking for money. So I'm available for that as a consultation. The link's in the description box. After repeated Federal Expresses, multiple trips to City Hall, half a dozen trips back and forth to the Hall of Justice, we finally got a date and we were able to notify people that we have a wedding planned. And we picked a wedding venue, and very, very soon we're going to be able to share that with you. Before the end of October 2024, we will hopefully be married. And the final episode of the Glenn and Ruby story, where Glenn talks about his health emergency and Ruby and Glenn share their acreage up in the mountains at 3,000 feet of elevation, 1,000 meters, just 40 minutes away from here. We are going to take you on a tour. That video's coming up. You don't want to miss that. If you haven't seen the first 4 episodes, I don't want to tell you the story. Go watch the Glenn and Ruby story. Till next time, wish me luck. I'm getting married.